That's what these families are hoping, that the Border Patrol comes out here to find them and then brings them back into detention. What's obviously happening now with the zero tolerance policy, those families are getting separated, and it's creating this crisis down on the border. Again, the Border Patrol says, as of right now, in areas like this, it has not deterred people from crossing.
And we're back. That was my colleague Jacob Soboroff along the U.S.-Mexico border earlier today. And while Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen denied yesterday that the Trump administration's separation policy was meant to deter undocumented immigrants from crossing the border, Attorney General Jeff Sessions and White House Chief of Staff John Kelly both have actually said that this is a policy that was intended to be used as a deterrent. And the Department of Homeland Security tells Jacob Soboroff it could be weeks until they see evidence the family separation policy is deterring anyone from leaving Central America. Meanwhile, in McAllen, Texas, over 1,000 children have already been taken away from their parents at processing centers. And that is where Jacob Soboroff is right now. And Jacob, I feel like you're spending more time in front of a camera the last few hours, and I apologize for that. But frankly, you're our eyewitness account. You're the guy that's been firsthand account. First of all, tell me what you've seen today.
Well, I want to talk to you about what I've heard and what I've seen, because what I've seen is inside this facility, right? I've been inside this facility as the Border Patrol processing station. Central to all of this, more than 1,100 kids have been separated just in this sector, coming out of this building alone, more than anywhere else, Chuck, along the entire southern border. I saw that. I saw the Mylar blankets. I saw the mattresses on the floor. I saw the cages inside. There's no doubt about it. That's exactly what's going on inside that building. What I heard today was Kirstjen Nielsen, the echoes of what she was saying yesterday, that she's been inside Border Patrol detention facilities before. But today, from our colleagues in Washington, we found out that she's never been inside here. Never once, never set foot inside. She's been in a detention facility in Arizona after this policy was announced, and one in Otay Mesa in California before it was announced. But the Secretary of Homeland Security, who's talking about the policy that's separating kids from their parents at a rate that's never, ever been done before, has not been in the facility at the center of it all. And I find it absolutely shocking.
I'm with you. Who's the highest government official that has from the Trump administration?
Maybe the sector chief of the Border Patrol, Manuel Padilla, who's down here, and he's not the chief of the entire Border Patrol. I wonder if the representative, the gentleman from the Border Patrol, the commissioner that you had on the broadcast last week, has ever been inside here and seen what's going on in here. It's just this disconnect between what's going on in Washington, D.C. and what is playing out on the ground right now. And guess what? They're still coming. They're coming across the border today at rates they've been coming across the border before this policy was enacted. And like you said, they claim it's going to take weeks to figure that out. But how do we know that for sure?
I was just going to say, word's gotten around that I assume this isn't going to take weeks to get word out there. So, I think there's some sort of fantasy land here that they think people that have decided to trek hundreds of miles, risking their life, is somehow, oh no, I'm not going to go all the way. I mean, do they not understand why these folks leave?
They're some of the most desperate people I've ever met in my entire life, Chuck. They're fleeing violence and persecution. They're literally running for their lives in most of these cases. They feel like they have no other option but to come here. Why else would you go sit on a bridge at a port of entry for weeks at a time and try to get into the United States? I sat down with the chief of the sector, Manuel Padilla, earlier today, and I asked him, they've been floating these lines, which frankly are just ridiculous, about there's fraud in the system and families are coming fraudulently. They're pretending like they're families together. I said, how many families out of the percentage of people you've apprehended here are fraudulent? The answer is 1%, he said. That's the statistical answer for what they have. So out of tens of thousands, 1% of them are phony families that try to make their way in here. It's just phony math.
And the fraud, correct me if I'm wrong, the fraud is actually fraud that many of these immigrants have committed against them, right? They're paying people in order to get through the trek safely. And those are the scam artists, and those are bad people, but they're scamming the immigrants, aren't they?
We're talking about coyotes. You're talking about coyotes south of the border that are controlled and pay taxes and duties to the smuggling organizations like the Sinaloa cartel. And they're taking advantage of the people coming across the southern border. And these cartel organizations have gotten so strong because of the drug wars down there. But these people are victims of the crimes, not because they're stupid, but because they're desperate. They're trying to get into this country any way they can, and those cartels are controlling all that territory down there. And if the government wanted to actually focus on solving a problem, they'd figure out how to eradicate the cartels, go down there and do some diplomacy, figure out how to do some economic development so these people aren't coming here to basically save their own lives, to change their lives forever. That's what they're hoping to do here in the United States. And instead, we're putting them in this building and now taking their kids away from them at rates that we've never seen ever historically before.
Would they let you back in right now if you just walked in right now? Would they kick you out?
No, and you know who else isn't letting us in? The Department of Health and Human Services. We've asked them where are the
Meaning
girls.
they're not letting you in.
Where
So
are the
right now
toddlers?
you would be kicked out if you tried to go in.
Yeah, they say there's going to be another media tour, on Friday of this facility. But by the way, that's another media tour of the same place we've already been in. What about the other detention centers across the southwest border? There are many of those too. And then HHS has all the kids that come out of here, over 11,000 right now. Haven't seen the girls, haven't seen the children. They offered to give us pictures from 2016 before this policy was enacted, and I said, no, thank you. We'll wait for our tour.
Jacob Soboroff in McAllen, Texas for us. Jacob, amazing work you're doing there, brother. Hang in there.
Thanks, Chuck.
See if you can stay awake. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.